Hey, Nick.
Oh, Tyson. What's going on, man?
Oh, same shit.
Yeah?
Well, it's Halloween, Nilly. We're so close, Nick.
I know, right.
Just this episode to go before our Halloween special next week.
Oh.
It is episode 158 of Nic Tys and Videotape.
Hello,
we're very excited to be here.
Good
How
evening.
is your Halloween season going, Nicholas?
It's kind of taken a light turn, Tyson. I tried to, at the start of the month, I tried to go, you know what, let's smash out some horrors, let's do that. But the world is kind of it kind of got to me, the especially being in ISO for so long. So I'm like, you know what, I need some fun. Bond, I finished the Bond's done. I needed a bit more fun. So yeah, I've been smashing the Disneys with my son. We did Lady and the Tramp, which I'll talk about some things later in what you watch. But yeah, and then I've been watching anything else really.
Yeah.
So my Halloween's been a bit light. Because I'm still watching these movies, which is really, it's kind of getting me in the mood a little bit more. But yeah,
and look, I'm kind of with you, man. To be honest, it's not as easy going as it has been in the past. I'm feeling the fatigue a little bit. But
especially with our Halloween special and what we've got coming up, that's kind of that's a it's not a slog.
No,
it's not
I've found this incredibly enjoyable so far. So I'm so glad.
But there is a lot of it. Yeah,
they're just
me too.
You're right. There are 9 movies that we're choosing from.
Yes.
But yeah, so this week we are doing one of our favourite segments that we haven't had a run in a while. But this is Show Me Yours, Show You Mine, where we each choose one of our favourite movies that the other has not seen.
That's true.
Nick, this week you chose for me
the 1997 Event Horizon.
That's it.
And what did you choose for me, Tyson?
Well, Nick, I chose for you 1992's BRAM Stoker'S Dracula. We've had a lot of fun watching these movies this week. First time watchers for each of us, one of them. And we're looking forward to talk about that a little bit later. Before we do, though, Nick, why don't you tell the people where they can find our show?
Oh, sure. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining in. My name is Nicholas. This is my good friend Tyson. We do a podcast, and if you are listening to us, please just do like, subscribe, rate, review. Hit the subscribe button. It takes 2 seconds, and it's no skin off your sack. You'll be fine. And it helps us lots. And apart from that, if you like what you hear, you can follow Nic Tys and Videotape on all the socials, which is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We do have a Gmail account, which is nictysonvideotape@gmail.com. We are on YouTube, and you can find our podcast kind of anywhere. Other than that, Tyson and myself are really big fans of the Letterboxd app. So if you have been following us, you'll absolutely know what's coming up next week. And if you aren't following us, you can follow Tyson at 2as_videotape, and I am NIC_videotape. And then you'll find out what we rate the movies that we talk about, because we don't really rate them on the show.
No, we tend to kind of drift away from review-based shows. We feel it's enough of those. We're just here to have a good old-fashioned chat. So if you do want to see our rating, jump on over to the Letterboxd account. Yeah. And you'll see a little bit, some interesting ratings from this week, I will say, Nick. Some agreement.
Oh, really?
And some disagreement, which is always fun.
That's the point of Letterboxd. That's why I love it.
Exactly right. Exactly. Yes, so in light of there being very few trailers this week, Nicholas, worth talking about.
Very few.
We're going to bump our closing segment to the start of the show, so that depending on time, we might give a little bit of something special at the end.
That's true.
Which means, Nicholas, you're going to have to count me down for this one, because we're going to do What Did You Watch This Week?
Dun-dun-dun-dun. Yeah.
Very nicely done, Nicholas.
I like it. Well, I might as well keep going with what I was talking about then.
Why not, Nicholas? So what have you been watching this week?
What have I? Let's. Sorry.
So you did finish James Bond?
I did finish James Bond. I'm not going to talk about that though.
Okay, sure.
I've done that to death. Yeah, Bond's enough. What else? Oh, so I'm in for the bit of fun, and what you're probably talking about, Tyson, is my rating of Pirates of the Caribbean. 2003, the first one. Is that what you're talking about? So yes, I love the first Pirates. I think it is an absolute romp. I think it is great. I think it's an old school Pirates movie. They obviously, like we talked about in, was it last week's Sleepy Hollow episode, how they hadn't milked. They weren't even close to. They didn't realize what they had with Jack Sparrow at that point, and he wasn't really integral to the story, but he was great. and Barbossa and the sword fights in it are just plentiful. And Keira Knightley can be looked over. It's fine. She can be looked over.
She's
not. No, she's not. She's. Oh God, she's painful. But 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 it's fun. I love it. And that score, man, gets me absolutely every time. I can listen to that score. My God, I can listen to that score, just anything, and I'll get a second wind, and I'm ready to do anything.
The problem with that score now,
if you were to say to me, hey man, if I was hungover, you say, hey man, I'm in a bit of a bind, can you come over and help me move house? And I'd be like, are you fucking insane? And then you just happen to play the pirate score. I am fucking there. I am there with bells on. I'll be like, let's fucking move this house. Let's do it.
I will remember that for future occasions.
Exactly.
No, Nicholas, this was not the one that I was. I found your rating interesting. I agree wholeheartedly with this. I think that first Pirates movie is rollicking good fun and about as good an adventure movie as you can get.
So good.
It really fires in every way, and I'm with you there. It's kind of, for me, it's kind of up there with like Indiana Jones levels of adventure films and the first Mummy movie. Is. That kind of, just good old fashioned fun. I love it sick. Good. Absolutely love it sick.
So good. Yeah.
What do you think of the sequels, Nick?
I haven't. I've only seen them. I've seen the first two, and that's it.
Yeah. Right.
And I remember I remember nothing. I remember a Kraken, and then I remember
the Kraken.
They released a Kraken, yeah, and then I remember what they did with Norrington. What's his name?
Norrington.
What they did with his character.
He became a pirate or something at the end.
Yeah, I think I actually really liked that. I was like, oh shit, Norrington, you prick. He turned completely 180. And I was like, oh, well done. I kind of liked it. But no, I think I might watch them all, Tyson. If Bond's finished, I need another franchise.
I still rate 2 and 3 to a certain degree. I didn't mean for that to rhyme at all. I started watching 4 and didn't get through it, and never bothered watching 5. I think it was fatigue at that point, and I was just like, I cannot stand this same shtick right now. Fourth one just felt really tired. And I heard the fifth one was a bit of a step in the right direction again, but by that point, it's kind of like, we had a nice trilogy, a nice little contained story. It was all fun and games. Everyone liked it to a certain level. They got pretty bloated and overlong, but they're still pretty good time. I just don't think we needed anything past those 3, to be honest. So
yeah, give it up. Did Gore do all 3?
No, the fourth one was fucking Rob Marshall.
No, but Gore did 3.
Oh, sorry, he did the first 3. Yeah,
he did the first 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Rob Marshall, really?
I think it was Rob Marshall.
Chicago, Rob Marshall.
Yeah. And the fifth one was the guys, a couple of, I think they're Norwegian, maybe the guys that made the Kon-Tiki movie.
Shit!
I think that was them. Anyway, I've heard the fifth one steps back in the right direction slightly. You've got Javier Bardem as the villain, and it's got the worst title of all of them, though. The Dead Man Tell No Tales. Yeah. I mean, anything that takes effort to say like that is a bad title. Yeah. Anything that makes you go, hang on, let me just read that twice.
I've talked about this. This is why Strangers Have No Goats, or whatever the fuck that movie's called, is the stupidest film, and I will never watch it ever. Deaf Men Hear No Goats? I don't know what
The Men Who Stare at Goats. I mean, it doesn't make it any better. It's not a better title than Ghosts with Goats.
Ghosts with Goats? Yeah.
Goats?
So, yeah. Ghost Poets. I can talk about one more.
Yeah, why not, Nicholas?
Let me talk one more. You know what? I'd love to talk about this. This is a film that I randomly, I don't know. Do you believe, Tyson, that
in life after love?
It's a very romantic way of looking at things.
Oh, yes.
When people say like, you don't find books, certain books find you, or the same with music. Certain music you're drawn to, whereas certain movies will just fall in your lap, and for some reason, they're a part of you, and sort of things like that.
Sure.
I don't know if I'm talking nonsense or anything.
No, look, it's a nice way to look at things. I like it.
Exactly. Yeah. So when I finished uni, my first stint when I was studying acting, went back home because my parents were divorcing and things like that. I went into the video store that I used to work in when I was 17.
Yeah.
And my old boss who was there, he was like, Nick, what's going on? Haven't seen you in a while. I was like, oh yeah, I'm back home. I'm going to stay for a bit and done it. He's like, cool, awesome. You're on the roster. You start Monday. I was like, no, man, I wanted to get out of the. Okay, sure. And so it was just a movie that was in the preview tapes, and I just took it because I was bored. I didn't have a car. All my uni friends were living in Melbourne, and I was on the Mornington Peninsula still.
Yeah.
And oh god, it wasn't a great time for me. I got depressed quite quickly. But yeah, this movie, there's long-winded to get to this movie. 2003, Triplets of Bellevue. It's French animated film. The writer and director is named Slavin Chomet, and he did The Illusionist, which I think won. Both of them have been up for Oscars when they've been around for animated feature.
Yep.
But that came out in 2010. But yeah, I absolutely love this movie, Triplets of Bellevue. The animation, it's about a little boy who ends up competing in the Tour de France. He gets kidnapped by mobsters, and his little grandmother, because his parents have died, and he lives with his grandmother who just wants him to be happy. And he gets kidnapped by mobsters. And she goes and finds him and brings him home. There is 3 lines in the movie. That's it.
Yep.
It's mostly a silent film.
Great.
And it's hilarious. It's quite dark at parts. The animation is just gorgeous. It's very much sort of like it's more Kubo and the Two Strings without the CG. You can tell that it's hand drawn. There's no CG in this at all. And yeah, I love this movie. I actually I've held on to that preview tape. I still have that preview tape. Tyson,
nice.
And I've wanted it, and I haven't been able to find it. JB didn't have it, Triplets, and it took me forever. And then I finally found it on Amazon. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to buy this. I don't care how much it is. And yeah, I bought it on Blu-ray a week ago.
Oh, nice. Is it like a Criterion collection or anything like that? Was it a fancy one?
No, nothing fancy.
Huh.
It's all in French. So it's pretty bare bones, the Blu-ray. Like, there's no main menu at all. You put in the disc, it starts straight away.
Oh yeah, one of those.
Like, that's it. But the thing is, you can select like scene, like when you hit info or whatever to select scenes. It actually has a making of in there, which I found. I was like, oh, nice, yeah. So
great.
if anyone is, if that kind of tickles your fancy, maybe what I've said, just look up Triplets of Bellevue. It's such a beautiful film.
I heard a lot about it when it was Oscar nominated.
Yeah.
And always kind of thought, I should give that a watch. It looks really sweet and heartwarming.
Yeah, love it, man.
Yeah.
80 minutes, man. 80 minutes.
Man, in and out. You're talking my language.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and look, it seems like the kind of thing that I probably should give a watch to at some point for sure.
Yeah. What do you watch, Tys? Did you watch anything?
To be honest, a lot of the stuff I've been watching has been show-related, so I'm not going to spoil any of my impressions of those films because we've been smashing out a particular franchise. There was one that I did sneak in that wasn't related to what we're talking about tonight or next week, and that was the Season of the Witch, Nicholas, the Nic Cage action kind of fantasy horror from, I don't know, I want to say 2011-ish?
2013?
Let's have a little squizzy.
Season of the Witch.
That's 2011.
Was this Nic Cage of all? Damn it, nice one, Tys.
So this was that weird patch of Nic Cage where I just don't think he was really, his heart wasn't in it. He was, he
was kind of cashing it in.
Yeah, and the movies this is kind of the peak time for all those, just stock standard crime thriller, straight to Blu-ray, straight to streaming kind of movies that he made, and occasionally there'd be something like this mixed up in there, but then they're few and far between. I much prefer where he's at the moment, where he's making kind of weird genre pictures and things like that. He'll still pop up in the random, he'll still have the paycheck movie here and there, and that's fine. Absolutely. But when we get stuff like Mandy, Color Out of Space, all these genre films, even that, have you seen this thing Primal that's floating around at the moment, where it's like he plays like a lion hunter? It's basically like Snakes on a Plane, but with jungle animals or something. I don't know.
I'm in.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I'm in. Like, that's one, please. It was. I'd heard that this movie was shithouse, and so I kind of went in a bit kind of like, oh yeah, let's just see what happens.
The bar was low.
I like that genre. I like kind of fantasy horror. I like... Okay. There's a movie... Have you ever seen Solomon Kane?
No, I haven't. I know the cover very well.
So that's that's a bit of an underrated favourite of mine. Like, that kind of... it's fantasy, but it's not as far into the fantasy realm as like Willow or Lord of the Rings or something like that.
Sure.
It just stops one notch back, where you've got fantasy elements, but it's very much medieval, kind of like dirt, grime, plague, all that kind of stuff. Like, and for some reason, it really floats my boat. And I did not hate Season of the Witch at all. I thought it was, for the most part, pretty enjoyable. I think there's really... the finale gets bonkers enough that it's a really good time, but is let down by some really bad CGI.
Right.
And the choice to computer animate the main baddie at the end of this, I think, is just so stupid, because you could have had a really cool, and it does, it doesn't have to be as fancy as like it flying around the room and all this kind of stuff. Like there's I'm not spoiling it, there's like a demon witch thing at the end. Of course, that's, of course there's
Season of the Witch.
But why, I think of something like, have you seen Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters?
No, I haven't.
Okay, that's also really fun. But, they did a lot of the witch stuff for that with practical. It was just makeup, some prosthetics. It was all that kind of stuff. And, so, obviously if you want them to fly around the room and stuff, you've got to add some CGI elements there. But the core physical form of them is real. And I think that's where this movie really shat the bed, because... we're watching this really bonkers finale where it's actually quite fun. It feels like really ridiculous. You've got Ron Perlman running around like full heroics, shooting witches in the face, and like it's all really fun. But it's all just this CGI nonsense. So it was really disappointing. Everything in the lead up to that though is pretty fun. You've got this girl who may or may not be a witch that they're transporting to a monastery so that she can be tried.
Okay,
and they play this mystery like, ooh, is she or isn't she? It's clear that she is. Like, even the movie tells us, but for some reason we keep having to have this, is she or isn't she stuff. But the way she kind of manipulates the group, this is Nic Cage, Ron Perlman, and then a couple of other nobodies.
Sure.
It's that short English guy. What's his name? That doesn't really narrow it down.
Danny DeVito?
No, but I think his name might be Danny.
Oh, really?
He's in everything that Guy Ritchie does.
Oh, stuff to find.
No, I'll find it at one point when you're talking, so I can just remind everybody. Right. But she manipulates them and tries to appeal to their weaknesses, like whether it's their compassion.
Stephen Graham. You're talking about Stephen Graham?
Oh, I think I am talking about Stephen Graham. Yeah, there was no Danny. I'm sure he's played a guy called Danny before.
Yeah,
and that's really fun, and it becomes really kind of intense, and there's these standoffs where. She's you can see these kind of mind games that they're playing with each other. Man, I thought it was really fun. And it's not a great movie by any stretch, but I think the reputation for it is like that it's a fair piece of garbage. And I don't necessarily agree with that. I think it kind of ranks around the middle somewhere, and you could do far worse.
Sure.
Yeah, Season of the Witch, which I think is just on Stan, if you want to give it a watch, ladies and gentlemen.
I kind of like that era of Nic Cage, only because it gave us some rad covers.
Oh, like it did.
Bangkok Dangerous. If you look that up, for those of you listening right now, look up. Don't crash your car, but just look up Bangkok Dangerous. Look at the cover, and you'll realize what they did was they erased the guns from his hands. So he's got one hand in his jacket, the other hand is kind of aimed, but for some reason they've erased the guns, so it looks so weird.
And they're all his head's
one of my favorite covers ever,
pointing the wrong way, and his arms don't look like they're attached to his body. It's an absolute shitstorm on the poster.
Funny.
Yeah, it's terrible. Another little gem from that period of Nic Cage goodness as well is Drive Angry. Have you ever seen Drive Angry?
Drive Angry? I've heard that's quite good.
It's real fun. That's actually, I tried to watch that. I think might have been the night I watched Season of the Witch, because I saw Season of the Witch on Stan and went, ooh, I want to Drive Angry.
Really?
Because he's like a stunt car driver who's like gets mixed up with the devil. And that's really fun. So there are a couple of gems from this period of Nic Cage for sure.
Yeah, maybe not Sorcerer's Apprentice, but there are some.
I've got a soft spot for Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Really?
Mostly because of Jay Buckarell.
Oh, okay.
The guy that plays the Apprentice.
Oh, yeah. The Apprentice.
I really like him, and he's in with he's a the Canadian guy that's in with Seth Rogen and all those guys.
Yeah. He is quite good.
Yeah.
I like him. Yeah, I like him. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
All right,
Shall we move on to our feature prez, Nick?
Let's open the popcorn on this one.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
And now a feature program.
Now, Nicholas, we didn't decide beforehand. Which one would we like to talk about first? This is our double feature, ladies and gentlemen. We're doing the head-to-head.
Head-to-head. I think
show
we should
me yours, show you mine. You want to do Event Horizon first?
Yeah, because I've got more to talk about Dracula.
All right, let's do Event Horizon.
Because it was the one that I haven't seen, so yeah.
Sure.
At 0300 this morning, TDRS picked up an automated navigation beacon broadcasting at 2-minute intervals in Neptune orbit.
This is incredible. It's the Event Horizon. She's come back. The Event Horizon was the culmination of a secret government project to create a spacecraft capable of faster-than-light flight. The ship doesn't really go faster than light. What it does is it creates a dimensional gateway that allows it to jump instantaneously from one point of the universe to another light years away.
Where's she been for the last 7 years, Doctor?
That's what we're here to find out.
After 7 years in deep space.
There were 18 people on board this ship when it disappeared. I want them all accounted for.
Opening outer door.
It came back, abandoned.
Any crew?
Negative. This place is a tomb.
But it didn't come back alone.
Captain Miller! I've got some problems here!
This ship has been beyond the boundaries of our universe. Who knows where it's been and what it's brought back with it.
Did you hear that? What is it? The ship is reacting to us and the reactions are getting stronger.
What are you telling me, that this ship is alive?
I have such wonderful things to show you.
Oh my God! It knows my secrets. It knows my fears. Vacate, I want off this ship.
You can't leave. She won't let you.
God help us.
All right, Nicholas. Now, this was your recommendation. The rules of Show Me Yours, Show You Mine is that it's meant to be a movie that you love that I had never seen.
Well, that's the thing. This genre, Tyson, is the hardest thing for anyone to pick. It's something that you haven't seen because everyone's seen everything. So yes, it was kind of hard to pick a movie that you hadn't seen. That's one of my favorites. But I remember I have only seen Event Horizon possibly 3 times, and it was all in the 90s.
Right.
But I remember loving it. I remember absolutely just loving it. I thought it was badass. Me and my brother absolutely loved it. And going back, because this was it was a little bit of a fresh watch. Not too much. I was like, oh yeah, I know what's going on.
Sure.
And put the dots together. But yeah, this was some things were a fresh watch in this, especially the director, because I hate with a passion this director. I think this obviously is the one-off case. But I don't like Paul W.S. Anderson. I don't like him. I think he is a cash-grabbing cow. He doesn't make really good movies. He'll take something, which is basically what he's doing now, is just video game movies. He did the first Mortal Kombat movie. I was a big video game fan of Resident Evil, and he absolutely destroyed that franchise. I thought it was just horrible. He did Aliens vs. Predator. And now I think he's doing a new video game movie,
he's directing
which is
the Monster Hunter.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not a big fan. This movie, though, on the flip side of the coin, is quite good. It is. I really like this.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny you say that though, and this is where we differ in our arbitrary ratings, because it was funny. I finished watching it and I went onto Letterboxd to rate it and was like, oh, I wonder if Nick's going to be disappointed in me, and entered the rating only to see that you had rated it the same as me.
Exactly.
And so what I thought of as being a disappointment, you have rated it the same and said that you quite like it, which I think is really funny because I saw lots of merit in it, but in the end I was ultimately disappointed. But I But I was like, but there's enough in it that, I'd probably watch it again. There's enough little nuggets here and there. But it wasn't like I came away from it finding it entirely successful. No. But it's just funny that we ended up rating it the same.
I did. I like that. That's
despite
funny.
all that.
That's funny.
It
was good. It was good for what it was. Do you know what I mean? Like it wasn't. There wasn't really scary in there. The 90s scariness of this movie has been done a lot better now that we're in 2020. This story of entity that is scaring a crew has been done far better and told the story better, basically. But this was quite good for what it was. It really was.
I think there's there are enjoyable factors to it. I think there's something to be said about while I didn't find it necessarily scary, there are lingering images that you're kind of like, well, that's pretty fucked up. And they kind of hover around, but it's not in the same way that some other movies that have had similar effects on me, like even talking about the Evil Dead remake from a couple of weeks ago. I think the imagery in that film was contributed far more to the success of the movie than it does in this movie. Having said that, I rated this movie higher than Evil Dead, which is why my rating system is always a bit of a shambles. But there's like a 90s sheen to this that makes it really hard to kind of take it seriously. So when I see all this gnarly shit that's going on, and spoilers of course for Event Horizon, ladies and gentlemen, but they find this videotape of what actually happened to the old crew, and you can see all this fucking disgusting shit that's happening, bodies being like flayed and blood and maggots and people getting fucked in the butt, and you're just kind of like, all right, well, that was like a Nine Inch Nails film clip for a second then, but I'm back. I'm back in the movie. You know what I mean? It felt like MTV scary, and I was kind of like, I'm not really getting it. I'm not getting. There's something about if it was less kind of chopped together or cut together for like that kind of 90s visual aesthetic, I think it would have had a greater effect on me. If we just, I'm trying to think of other examples where people have just seen videotape or, heard audio and things like that. And I think there's generally other times I've found it more unsettling when it just kind of is allowed to just exist and you just have to watch it. Whereas this was all like cut here and cut here.
It was very jump cutty.
Yeah.
And there was no reason for the video that they were watching to cut at all. Like who filming
edited
something
the
that's
fucking surveillance footage?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I love that you mentioned that though. Like I was talking to my brother because my brother is a big fan of this movie.
So is my brother. That's really weird. Why is he a big brother or a small little brother?
Little brother.
Okay, sure.
So my little brother is heavily into metal to the point where this was kind of the start. This was still new metal, so this was still Korn and Slipknot and things like that. Hadn't gone full tilt yet. And my brother's band is actually named Liberate Me after the Latin in this movie. His garage band. It was gold. He loved it. Loved it.
Yeah, that's cool when you're 17.
Exactly.
I hope he laughs at that now, though, because that's lame.
So good. But my brother was like, he was mentioning, did you slow down when they watched the video? Have you slowed down? There's someone getting ass fucked while also getting a fist pushed down their throat at the same time. I'm like, I saw that, Dan. I didn't need to see that.
I don't need to freeze frame that.
What? Yeah. So if slow the movie down. I'm like, Dan, for starters, why have you been slowing that footage down?
Oh, that really fucked up bit. I just want to see just exactly how fucked up it is.
I'm pretty sure it was fucked up. Dan,
I'm
you're sick, man. You're sick, man.
I have
He's like,
seen...
hey, man, we were looking for egos. We were looking for inspiration for lyrics, man. Shut up. I'm like, I love you, Buncho. I love you. You're a sick man.
I mean, if there's not a song in that shot of someone getting simultaneously ass and mouth fisted, then I don't know. I don't know where else.
Spit roasted with a fist. It's Oh, that's the name of a song right there. Spit roasted with a fist.
I would check. I'd go check Cannibal Corpse's wiki page right now because I reckon they might have beaten you to it on something like that. What was I going to say?
But yes, I do agree with you that the 90s, going back from what you said, the 90s sheen on it is definitely there, especially with my first note was the fact that the CG has aged quite a bit in this film. When there's no gravity in the ships, and the CG stuff that's moving around, you're like, ooh, that's bad. That is bad.
And
really
you know,
bad.
like, you don't need that. This is. He's a frustrating director, and you know, you're right. He hasn't. I don't think I really like any of his films. I find, you know, I can kind of enjoyably watch the first Resident Evil with like a drink in hand and just kind of be like, yeah, whatever, it is what it is.
I can do it the same with Mortal Kombat, but that's mainly because
Kombat.
It's from nostalgia purposes, mostly. Yeah,
but I reckon the fact that people are like, oh man, but you know, he's got this really great movie, Event Horizon, and I'm like, yeah, but he accidentally made this good. Like, this is not. This is not his doing that this movie is good. Like, it's a miracle that this movie is as good as it is, because you can see his fingerprints all over it, fucking it up as you're watching it, and you're like, oh God, like, you are, you know, this movie is a miracle that it's maintained any element of integrity, because every choice that feels like comes from him is a bad choice.
It feels bad, yeah. Because the crew, I think they are solid. I think they keep this movie.
Performances are great.
I really do.
Yeah,
they're really good. To an amount, like, they're almost like first Alien level crew.
Yeah, I would.
Like, you can tell that they've been around for a while.
Yeah. I felt pretty reminiscent of that as well in the first 20 minutes or so. I think some of them get kind of shortchanged a little bit, and this what's the guy that survives at the end? He's like the rescue guy. The one that has his own little miniature adventure floating in space and is like, I'm coming, motherfuckers!
Yeah. Richard T. Jones.
Yeah, that character can...
Cooper.
I don't need that character at all. I
didn't mind him, though. He was okay, but they didn't do anything with him. I think it was... Do something.
I think it was just like, we're trying to have a movie where, you know, maggot-infested spikes are poking through people's mouth, yet at the same time we've got like someone going freaking out because they're floating in space and talking about it like it's a kid's slapstick comedy. You know what I mean? It was just like the character is really jarring with the energy of the movie, because it should and that's why I reckon it's a miracle it's as good as it is, because you could just tell he was sitting there like, yeah, say something funny, ha ha ha, that's cool. And anyway, back to the maggots, and it's just it just jars with it so badly, because you should feel really depressed at the end of this movie, like downtrodden, like sapped of energy, because that's, you know, it actually reminded me a lot of, and you know, I'm not the first person to say this by a long shot, but the Hellraiser kind of comparisons are very true. It's a really similar kind of, it's that Clive Barker, hell is a real place, and it is completely draining of all hope. So,
I never thought of that. It does have Hellraiser vibes, this movie, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It really does.
But it just, you know, but at the same time, we have a guy making gags about floating through space, who is basically Eddie Murphying all over the spaceship. And I'm like, that's the wrong movie for this character to be doing that in.
Man, that's Pluto Nash.
Yeah, exactly. You know, Pluto Nash they're making that down the road.
Pluto Nash. Don't worry about it.
So it was a weird kind of clash of tones, I think, and that kind of proves that it's not really Paul W.S. Anderson's benefit that this movie is as good as it is, because his choices are all garbage.
And it was really predictable about what was happening. There was no secrets. It was very, from the start, you knew what was going on. Did you? Because this is kind of your first watch, Tys. What did you...
Well, I always kind of knew the premise. So I guess, if I went in completely blind, but that's kind of impossible these days, isn't it? Like, how am I meant to do that?
It is, yeah.
So I went in as blind as could be, but I still knew that it was about a ship that had been to hell and came back. So, I mean, what else is there to know?
Yeah, good point.
And I've seen if you've seen the trailer or if you've ever seen a movie, that Sam Neill ends up the bad guy. So
cut up and all shit.
Yeah. So I guess I was as blind going in as I could be, but no secrets though, no like massive reveals, no.
Exactly. Like even if you did know, like there was nothing where you were like, oh wow, I didn't see that coming. It was very much, oh yeah, I could, yep. Yeah, and this is going to happen now, and this is going to happen. But it didn't matter. Like, even though it was predictable, it was still enjoyable for me.
Oh,
there were still moments in it. I was like, that was badass. That was so cool.
There are, I'm trying to think of the moments that I really liked now, and I'm thinking most of them are due to Lawrence Fishburne. I think he is excellent in this movie.
He was, but he was a bit of a stern asshole, wasn't he?
I liked that because...
Did you like that?
Yeah, because he was a real prick at the start. And you were like, he's being that arrogant ship's captain. And then, but as the movie went on, you actually saw that he wasn't just an arrogant dick. He was actually just a really, really compassionate, good captain that runs a tight ship. And I respect that, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was just looking for the welfare of his crew. Yeah. That's all he cared about. Which is kind of why you were like, oh, okay. Which, because we do end up, the movie kind of shows us at the start from Sam Neill's perspective. We're like, oh, okay, so Sam Neill, Jurassic Park. Okay, let's have a story. What's your story? Sort of thing. So you kind of think that it's his narrative, where it kind of switches gears and it ends up being Lawrence Fishburne's halfway through. But yeah, I liked it. I didn't like his captain's chair though. That floaty weird thing.
No, that was terrible. And it didn't look comfortable, and it didn't look practical at all. It looked like it was just looked
horrible
like
fucking face.
Terrible
like,
design.
What the hell is this?
What is the benefit of this chair whatsoever? There is no benefit to this chair.
The fact that if he has to get out, it has to slowly rotate 180, and then he can jump out, but he has to do it in one hit.
Yeah,
exactly. Like a chair that's on wheels. Like you have to get out quite quickly.
God, I don't love the design of the ship either. I wanted it to be a lot better. Because the whole, they don't really
because Event Horizon itself, I didn't mind. Like, especially, like, I'll give it where, like, credit was due. That first shot where they're going through the clouds and like, oh, we're going to hit it. And then they come up and the clouds part and the ship is like 2 feet from their ship, like 2 feet from their ship. Yeah. And that shot of just Event Horizon's like hull is so nice.
I like the outside of it for sure. It reminds me of. So tell me, is it all spiky and like weird because it's been to hell, or was it always like that?
No, I think I don't know. I think it was always like that.
So that seems like a strange ship design for
stupid design.
A ship that's not a hell ship because
Well, even if like I don't get why the neck is so goddamn long. Like that looks like at least 5 football ovals long.
I know, but yet they can run it when you're actually they run it in 20 seconds when they're just actually inside because they're like, oh shit, no, the outside we made it too big.
And like, did they explain the reason why it was that long? I forget.
Yeah, it was.
Did it have anything to do with it? I knew that they separated, but
I think it was just the safety mechanism. It was like, we'll make this really long so that you can. But I suppose you could have done that with half the length, really. Like, if they're just going to blow it up anyway. I think it just must have looked cool. But to me, it looked like one of those ships. It looked like something out of, the Reaver ships in Serenity.
It did, yes.
Like the way that they were all kind of cobbled together with like scrap metal, but also so they designed it almost so it was like a Mad Max car. It was just pointy things stuck on with fucking gaffer tape. But so I saw that and I was like, oh, so maybe something weird happened in hell. And I'm like, oh no, wait, that's actually the ship. Who designed this fucking thing? When you're out just doing a spacewalk because, somebody, we need to patch up something, you got to make sure you don't stab yourself every time you move.
Exactly.
Even the gravity chamber, I was like, now I know this is, it's obviously the evil home and it's all, we need to represent that visually. But there's way too many spikes in this room, I think.
Yeah, I didn't get it either. I was like, why are there so many? Does it have to do with anything? Do they help any? No, okay, they're just there for...
It's there for aesthetic purposes.
Later.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone's going to die on them later. Yeah, that's literally what they're there for.
I think there's something scarier about it looking normal, but not being normal, than looking, because of this, it looks like a hell fucking spawn. And so, of course, of course it will be.
But that's the 90s, man. If Event Horizon was remade now, that ship would look like the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Like, literally, it would look pristine, and it would look like an Apple store. You'd be like, oh, this is slightly unsettling. What's going on here? And yeah. And then all the fucked up shit would happen. Like, one of my favorite moments in this movie, I love how horror movies still do this. It's so funny. How they come on, they go on the ship, they're searching around, and the female doctor, she goes into like the back section, like the crew quarters where the kitchen is, and there's a beautiful shot. She doesn't see anything, and this is actually, I won't give Anderson credit for this one, but putting the ship in the atmosphere of a planet where it is surrounded by clouds and lightning, I actually thought that was a really good idea, because it adds, not only when you pull out and get visual shots of the ship, it adds to it rather than having just the dense like emptiness of space. You're getting kind of an atmosphere there that's surrounding the ship. Not only that, the ship has windows, so every now and then you get a crack of lightning, like when the nurse goes into the kitchen and you see she's like, oh, there's nothing wrong here, and then a crack of lightning and you just see the wall is just covered in, it doesn't look like blood, it looks like 5 people have held onto 5 grenades and they're just body viscera is just kind of sticking to the wall.
Remember that? It's that goo in War of the Worlds. Remember that weird plant, that weird goo that grows on everything in War of the Worlds? That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, it's like that. And that really, I thought that was really nicely done. Even though, that happens in every single horror movie.
No, but you're right. I'll pay that because it gives it that kind of haunted house vibe. And I think if you want to make a haunted house movie in space, you have to think outside the box. And it's like, well, how do we have thunder and lightning? Well, we need to go to a planet that's going to have, weather storms and things like that. So I guess, you've got to think outside the box. What I think is, though, is that I heard this in interviews and things that he wanted to make a haunted house movie in space. And that's a good idea, definitely. Okay. But he hasn't made a haunted house movie in space. He's made a Hellraiser movie in space. And they're very different energies. They're not... Haunted house movies, to me, generally are more like Sleepy Hollow, The Conjuring. Yeah. Like, they're House fun. House on Haunted Hill. Yes. I mean, could you imagine House on Haunted Hill in space? Sign me up. Like... Pass. I'm not going. It scared the fucking shit out of me. No, pass. I'm really keen to
at least I can get out of the house.
Yeah,
I can get out of the house.
Well, that's part of... I think that's part of the fear, is that you no matter what, you are stuck there. But it's just, instead we get this like attempt at this real kind of like, soul-sucking experience. But it never really decides on either. And so we get some really great moments, but generally on the whole, it's kind of like, I just wish I knew what this wanted to be a little bit more. I wish I had a better idea of what it's trying to be, because at the moment I'm confused by what it's trying to be.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I have to shout out 2 people. Like Jason Isaacs, for one, I have never seen Jason Isaacs like this before, especially in this movie. He is strange.
He is a bit odd, isn't he?
He's playing strange really well. And the other one, I need Sean, do you pronounce it Pertwee?
Pertwee.
Pertwee?
I don't know.
He needs to do more things. I need to see him in more things. Oh, you've seen Doomsday. He's in Doomsday.
Doomsday's in Dog Soldiers.
I love him. I love his accent. It's a specific type of English, and I love him. I think he's great.
He is great, and he's excellent in this as well.
I really like him. And the only thing I know him from is Equilibrium.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Because I was like, oh, I love you. I need to see more movies with you in. And he's done, it's, not great movies, but yeah, he's in a few. So I need to rewatch Dog Soldiers and Doomsday.
Yeah, do.
You said Doomsday was really good.
Oh, it's fun. Yeah. It's not fantastic, but it's very fun.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah. I think the cast is the strongest thing in this movie for sure. I think even Sam Neill, I really like Sam Neill for sure, but I think in the last 20 minutes or so, he's a bit out of his comfort zone, and it doesn't really work for me. He kind
of shits me in the end.
Yeah, he's just not very good. Like at being that menacing evil. He's far better at being like the kind of the midpoint of losing his mind, where you know, you can't trust him, and he's very, you know, he's off the boil a little bit, and you know, quite peculiar. But when he goes full crazy villain, he's very. It just doesn't suit him. I don't.
You're
think.
like, oh yeah, no, not for me.
Yeah, nice.
What's the other horror movie you've seen it that he's been in? I used to see it at the video store all the time. Is it the Mouth of?
Oh, in the Mouth
something?
of Madness, yeah, but he's kind
Is
of
that him?
Yeah, he's kind of the hero in that. So it's he does kind of, he loses his mind a bit towards the end, but at no point does he become like a villainous, crazy psychopath. Whereas, and so the only other thing is he bad guy in? No, he's not a bad guy in Dead Calm. He's the good guy in Dead Calm, isn't he? Billy Zane's the bad guy in Dead Calm.
In the Mouth of Madness, man, that cover is burned into my brain.
Yeah, and this is got a little bit in common with this. I think a lot of that, it's all that H.P. Lovecraft, Clive Barker kind of stuff, where it's, you know, the terror beyond terror, it's unimaginable, the terror, you know, that
But then you don't really see the terror. You're like, oh yeah, come on, show me the fucking terror. Go on. Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's actually got a lot in common with Mouth of Madness. Mouth of Madness, I think, is much better. Maybe not much better, but definitely better.
Well, it's John Carpenter.
Yeah,
so there's straight off the bat, you're kind of like, oh, okay.
Exactly. You know? I did like the sound design a lot. I thought the sound design was really effective. Especially if I was ever really unsettled, it was usually due to sound-related things. Like, screams, distant sounds, distant little sound effects, that emptiness of nothing even, and that just the way you'd have two people talking in a kind of completely empty space, and the voices would be like they're whispering, but it just had this kind of this quality to it where you could feel the fear through the sound. I thought it was quite effective. Yeah, I really dug it. But yeah, I guess apart from, I'm just trying to think of my favorite bits, and really they were all just kind of because they were crazy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was watching stuff hey man, well, that takes some balls, I guess, to make that shot. So, is it Kathleen Quinlan? Kathleen Quinlan?
Yeah.
Yep. Like, when she falls to her death, she doesn't just fall to her death, like her legs. She hits like a whole bunch of things on the way down, and then her legs are pointing in like different directions when she hits the ground, and it's just all like, it's just, and you're like, ooh. And I was kind of like, oh yeah, all right, gave that a good crack. And I appreciate that the kid that was the first one to get it and even got decompressed out in space survived.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a bold choice.
He survives. That's insane, isn't it? Yeah. Hey, is that what happens in decompression? You just bleed from every orifice like that?
Yeah, I just don't know. And Lawrence Fishburne's like, it's going to be fine. Don't stress. Just go into like crouch position and breathe out all your air. You'll be right. I was like, no, surely not.
I was like, surely you can't just...
Is that all it takes?
Do you know what's funny? I fucking paused and had to Google whether that was true.
Did you?
I was like, no way, you can't just do that. I was like, no, it's bullshit. No, sorry.
I think it's more likely that like what happens in Total Recall when they bust the helmets on Mars.
Oh,
I
really?
feel like that's
with the fucking eyeballs?
Yeah, I reckon that's probably closer.
No, that can't be true.
You don't reckon?
That's scary as hell. I really, up until the last 15 minutes, I really enjoyed this film.
I go the opposite. I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Even though I don't like Sam Neill at the end, I think it's just so bonkers that I'm just like, yeah, all right, you've got my attention.
No, but the thing is, had you a better ending to this film is to kill them all off and have Sam Neill fly away with Event Horizon. Have him own that ship and just wreak havoc from anyone who comes across it. Like, I think that is
kind of what happened. Like,
is it though? Because I don't need that ending with they come in and the three of them are in the pods and
that's just her seeing Sam Neill. I don't think he's there. I think Lawrence Fishburne sacrificed himself. He took him and Sam Neill to hell.
Yep.
And now that's just Sam Neill's going to be the captain of the Event Horizon in hell.
No, I wanted everyone to die in this movie. I really did. I thought everyone should die, and sort of Lawrence Fishburne sacrifices himself to kill Sam Neill, but the ship survives on its own. It's just going to be out there in space for anyone to come across it,
maybe,
and just get
fucked up, for sure.
You know, and how good is that for Event Horizon 2? that ship is still out there, someone's going to come across it eventually, sort of thing, you know. Or if just before Sam Neill dies, he plots for Event Horizon to slowly head towards Earth. Come on.
Isn't there?
This thing writes
What's
this
the
thing
other
writes
movie
itself.
that does that? There's another movie that does exactly that as well, I think.
Yeah. Alien Resurrection.
Oh, yeah, one of the Alien movies. That's it.
Yeah.
It's heading towards Earth.
The one that sucked.
Yeah, look, I don't mind my, like, depressing horror movies to have some hope at the end. And I suppose they did kind of say, yeah, look, they got away, but they're going to be fucked for life. Like, this is what they're trying to imply, is that they are, you know, it's nowhere, it's in no way a happy ending. They're completely traumatized and will be forever. And I didn't mind that little bit of hopefulness. I guess I'm just kind of, I do like that at the end. Not even a happy ending. I just like that moment of hope. Because especially after a movie like this, after watching it for, you know, an hour and 45 minutes and just be like, oh, well, then everyone died. Great. I'm just kind of like, you could have done that in 20 minutes. Like, it's...
Exactly.
There's always something interesting about seeing characters kind of find the will to survive and what they have to do and what does it take to survive in those circumstances. And I think that's what I'm more drawn to from a storytelling perspective. Yeah, because I really like... Sorry, you go, man.
You don't think that... Because how many movies have we had where everyone dies? A la kind of Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah, I honestly can't think. But even like Cabin in the Woods, there's a satisfaction to it. There's like they earned that in a way. Like
they did.
And
they share a spliff and go, well, fuck.
Yeah, exactly. And that's as satisfying as you can get it as an ending like that, I think. Whereas I get what you're saying, and I just don't feel like it might work thematically better, because it might kind of, if they're trying to make this movie really be about, hey, hell's a real place, guys, and it's pretty bad. That's probably the ending that you want. But for me, I'm just kind of like, I just like it a little bit more. That there is, I like that Larry Fishburne did his sacrifice. Basically, you know, I'm surprised there wasn't like a witty pun. No,
I'm glad there was barely any puns in this movie.
He did almost. What did he say before he blew him up? Just
Did he say something?
He did say something. Something like, I don't know. I can't remember. But I was begging, like, in my head, I was like, oh, come on, just give him a little sass on the way out. Just a little bit of sass. But no, nothing. Give him like a little bit of a, I don't know.
Give him something.
Even just a see you in hell would be fine. I'd be fine with that.
Oh, see you in hell.
Yeah. I'd be fine with that.
That'd be pretty good, actually. I wouldn't mind that.
Hell, you know, you tell him I'm coming and hell's coming with me.
Oh, no, that's taken. Tombstone, baby. Golden.
Yeah, still plenty to enjoy in this, though. I feel like I'm being a little... Oh, do you know what I did like? So the way that the shots would transition, this is probably one of the only things that I think Paul W.S. Anderson's maybe had his hand in that I agree, that I think is effective, is that his scene transitions were always really quite smooth. He would move from the ship into a hallucination around a character, and it was always really nicely done. It wasn't like one of those snap to it on a different shot. He'd usually use the shot as the moment, and it had this really disorientating effect. Which I really liked. At the same time, though, sometimes I was just like, can you just hold the fucking camera still? Because he just let it spin around. And I'm like, I'm watching this on a big telly, guys. And, you know, I'm getting it's not making me feel very comfortable right now. I'm getting dizzy. And it's not like, effectiveness, like the disorientation of space.
It's not trying to do that, no. No, he's just being
annoying.
A dick.
Yeah.
I love that. It's I definitely have that with television. If I'm watching a TV show and they start spinning the camera around the characters to create drama, I'm like, hold the fucking camera still, you dicks. You don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, it's usually a pretty cheap move. It's like, okay, so we need to inject a bit of energy into this scene. We've got no other reason. Let's just swing the camera around a bunch.
No, don't do that. Lean on your actors, you fucking moron. Like, but seriously, lean on your actors, let them play. Like, oh, God, it is one of my pet hates. Unless it's a scene, like, I'm not saying don't use it. Unless it's the scene that actually needs it, you know, great. Sure. A la kind of like Train Spotting or something like that. Fucking use it. You know?
Yeah, if you're trying to sell, it's all about intention. And if the intention feels like cheap, like manufacturing energy, as opposed to supporting the already existent energy, it's usually pretty easy to tell from a distance. What else?
I'm done with Event Horizon.
Yeah, I think I'm done with it too. I have seen some of the stuff about the extended version of the film.
Okay.
So there was an extended version. It got cut down pretty dramatically. A lot of the violence was cut out. A lot of the hell scenes were a lot longer, less jump cutty. And basically the studio said, nah, that's not going to happen. Look, I don't think it would make any difference. And I know a lot of people out there, what I've read on things are like, oh, this is the definitive version. You've got to see that. If we need to see this version because it's going to show the real hell that this movie was trying to show us, and it's a real. And I'm just like, nah. The problems with this movie have nothing to do with that. Like,
no,
that this movie will still remain a solid 6 to 7, maybe, depending how generous we're feeling. With more hell or not enough hell. It's
no. It was short enough. Like, if you're going to extend it, you're going to make it worse, sort of thing. It was the reason that I gave it that rating is because it was nice. It wasn't too long. It didn't, it gave me what I wanted, and I was out. If you extend things to try and create more mood or extend more horror, no, I'm not there for it. And there's no way that hashtag PWS Anderson cut is going to lift off. No, we don't want to see his cut. Shut up.
Well, apparently it doesn't exist. They found like a VHS copy of it, and it was in really bad nick. It's really hard to get. It's like it's full like legendary status now. It's become like this kind of like it's this mystery of what happened to the footage after it was cut.
Hashtag release the cut, man. Come on.
Someone found a VHS in like a salt mine or something. Like this. I'm not making this shit up. Like at the bottom of a fucking salt mine.
I am fucking in. A salt mine. What the fuck is the movie doing down there?
That's awesome. I don't know.
I'm
man.
fucking in.
I'm in. Some guy was using it as like a fucking doorstop somewhere, and then it made its way around.
That's gold.
Nick, should we move on to the second movie of our... Oh, you've got something else?
One last thing. Yeah. This movie, in pure... after you finish Event Horizon, just to make sure that you know it's the 90s, The Prodigy kicks in hardcore.
Was it The Prodigy?
And it was The Prodigy, and I was like...
I thought maybe.
Oh, this was nice. This is nice. I'm just going to let this play. I let it play the whole thing. I was like, fuck. Prodigy. I am not into this music.
No. This music had a time and place.
This music has a time and place, and I am not.
I am no longer there.
Now. I'll see you later. Firestarter, peace.
Yeah,
I'm out.
See you later. Oh well, he's moved on to a better place anyway. So
he has
no more Firestarter.
No.
Yeah, look, and that's just part of the 90s-ness. Everything, the color scheme, the set design, just that look of this movie, like it's so 1997. And that's not an era. I think there are very good movies in that time, of course, but like something like Starship Troopers, which looks kind of similar to this movie, to be honest, that works very much better. Well, very much better. That's apparently the best English I have today. That works much better because of like its narrative strength and its satire. This, when you put a not as polished product in that same packaging, you I think it brings out the worst parts of it. You kind of just go, why is that color? Why is everything so green? Or like, why is everything so slick?
I didn't mind it. I thought it was okay. I think Event Horizon with a different director is a movie I would really like to see.
There's a movie called Pandorum.
Which someone... I'm not watching that. I know what that is.
Oh, that's good.
Do you like it?
Yeah.
Is it good?
Yeah, it is good.
My brother keeps telling me to watch it. I don't want to watch that.
Oh, no, give it a go.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's all right. I like it, and I think it's very much, now having seen Event Horizon, I can honestly say it's pretty much a rip-off, but it's it's kind of what you're talking about, though. It's the drier, more serious take where it's not it's not the sheen of Alien versus Predator. Yeah. It's a much quieter, more reflective experience, but the plot is very similar. So yeah,
that's true. You can kind of tell after watching Event Horizon, you can kind of tell that this is the director that did Alien vs Predator.
Oh yeah,
you can really tell that after watching this movie. You're like, oh yeah.
And he gets credit for this movie where I think it's just because he just cast it well and had a really good team of people around him. Because there's not really a lot separating this movie from some of that other trash that he's done. Except
I will say though, obviously being a big video game nut as well, that this if anyone's played the horror thriller video game Dead Space, that completely obviously has they took a little bit of what Event Horizon has and really made something of it, obviously, because if I feel like watching Event Horizon, I think I'll just play Dead Space.
Sure, fair enough.
A lot better.
It's kind of somewhat what Sunshine was doing as well, wasn't it?
I don't remember Sunshine. I need to watch it again.
There's like
I need to watch it again.
Are the endings like almost exactly the same? I just remember a guy on fire who was like trying to kill people. Isn't that what happens in this movie as well?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Let's move on, Tys.
So the second film in our double feature, Nicholas, this is 1992's BRAM STOKER'S DRACULA.
Here occurred the frightening and shocking history of Prince Dracula and the woman he loved.
I have crossed oceans of time to find you.
Ja, Dracula.
There's a sinister, darker side to him. I find irresistible. I have never met any man with such a passion for life. He is unlike any man. What are you?
Vampires do exist. This one we fight, this one we face, can take on many forms. He is both young and old. He can appear as mist, as vapor, as the fog, and he can vanish at will.
My love.
The power of his evil desire has no end.
You've got to go to him. You've got to love him.
She is a willing recruit and devoted disciple. She is the devil's concubine.
Join me in eternal life.
Your salvation is his destruction.
I want to be what you are. I want to see what you see. I want to love what you love. Take me away from all this death.
Make no mistake, he must be stopped.
Dracula. Francis Ford, Tyson.
Yeah, Francis Ford Coppola.
When did you first watch Bram Stoker's Dracula?
This has been a favourite of mine for years, Nicholas. I watched this when I was way too young and was fascinated by it, absolutely fascinated by it. It was probably one of the most violent movies I'd seen at the age I was watching it.
Violent? Oh, like there is
there's
quite
so
a
much
bit of violence.
blood in this movie. There is blood for days. And I think I was kind of a bit like taken back by just the use of that much blood. As a kid, I remember I used to watch, because we used to have it on video. We had it taped off television, I think. And I used to fast forward, or I used to start watching it around the time where he turns into the weird big monster and then into the bunch of bats. I would watch it from there to the end because as a kid, I was fascinated with all that stuff. I was just like, this blood and these creatures, and the bit at the end where it's like it's an actor, but I'm like, it doesn't look like an actor. It looks like a fucking monster, and she's stabbing him, and he's coughing up blood and stumbling about the joint. I was just fascinated by it, absolutely. And as I've gone on, I still watch this pretty regularly. It's just, and you know, like, say what you want, Keanu Reeves is no good in this. Winona Ryder is has her moments, but generally is a bit disappointing in this. But I absolutely love the way that Coppola makes this movie. I am so on board for his choices in this. He makes movies the way I want to see them. He takes he's 100% in embracing the material. And and he's celebrating its like melodrama and its operatic nature. He's leaning into that 100%, and at the same time, he's making a movie 100% practically. And he said, you know what, this is not a story for... This is an old story, so everything about it's going to be old, from the way we tell it to the way we make it. And I fucking love it. I absolutely love it. And so I get really caught up in both sides of it. The performances from like Gary Oldman and Anthony Hopkins, to the technical aspects as well. I find them more and more fascinating every time I watch it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just kind of grown in esteem for me, and even the score now. Like I own the score, and it's one of the. It's probably top 5 scores for me.
Damn.
It's just so like
top 5
gothic.
That's huge.
It's I would love to hear this played live. This score. So yeah, I'm all about it. About it.
Well, this is my first watch. I knew most bits about it, like Keanu being infamously bad, and Winona being most good, and all of those things. But yeah, I did like it, especially because it was very much a traditional Dracula story. It's very much the romanticized version of Dracula, being it at a period piece with wolves and bats and holy water and stakes and the castle, and his use of shadows, which was just it's very like traditional Dracula.
Yeah,
it's so good. It's what you want from a Dracula movie. Yeah, so I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. There were moments in there though where I was kind of losing traction because I was like, where is this going and what does this have to do with anything? But yeah, it was. I enjoyed it for the most part of it. Yeah. It wasn't necessarily scary, but then again, Dracula I don't think will ever be scary anymore. The character, I don't think he's a scary.
No
entity anymore. We've grown past that sort of thing. So and for it to be it's not a horror movie. It's a love story, if anything. So yeah, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize they lent heavily on the love story aspect of it.
Sure.
But yeah, I loved it. The practical stuff, like it was there and you knew it was there and it was great. Like the sets. When they were coming up on horses and the mist is there and the wolves are there and it's almost like a bus stop for Dracula, like the cross with the wolf on it. That was fucking petrifying. I was like, good Lord, that is that's a full pass for me.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, no, thank you. I'm not getting out of here. Driver, keep riding, But yeah, there were some great moments in it. There really was.
Yeah, they did a really good job suggesting that very old school kind of atmosphere. It felt, you're right. I do agree with you. I no longer am scared when I watch it. There are still some moments in this that I find quite unsettling, though. I think they do a really good job with the brides, for instance. I think they're really really unsettling. The way that just that really simple trick, but it's so effective of having sometimes the vampires. They shoot it in reverse and then play the footage forward. And so you see that really jangly movement of their limbs and you're just like, oh, God, why is that so off-putting to me right now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I said, the real free use of blood and gore, I think, because, you could see this movie being kind of... It's funny how this movie is super duper classy because it comes from Coppola, and so it has this prestige feel to it where everything's really kind of like, ooh, it's a serious Dracula. But at the same time, it's kind of not. Like, it's campy as fuck. It's like it's super sexy too, like, and sexy in air commas. Like, there are
very sexy,
lots of boobies,
lots of nudity. In this movie.
lots of people like slowly rubbing themselves while Dracula is seducing them and all these kind of things, and you're just like,
vampires,
Jesus.
Vampires are very much lean on the sex. Like, they're the sexy monster. Like, they really are. They use that kind of lust and blood, pumping type of thing and they use it and it works.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, like, so, you know, you've got those elements. You've got Anthony Hopkins doing this really, really bizarre performance that I love, and I love it to death, but he's a real nutcase.
He's a nut. But sometimes he's like bang on good. In a scene, you're like, fuck, that was actually quite good. And then another scene where you're like, what is going on?
But,
like,
you know,
what is going on?
That's what I mean, is that we've got this, you know, it's this real kind of bonkers telling of this story kind of wrapped up in this prestige box that, you know, I think it makes it easier for people to sit down and watch it because they go, oh, well, Coppola made this, so it's not trash.
Yeah.
Like, but it is. It's kind of trash, but in the best, most beautiful way. It's campy, classic Hamer trash, but it's the best version of that you're ever going to get because it's Coppola.
But that's... Exactly, but that's so funny that's happened. Like, especially watching, like, I was about 3/4 of the way through this movie, and because it was Coppola, I kind of paused and went, okay, I need a breather, I need another cup of tea. And Coppola, I'm pretty sure you can't say anything against Marvel since you've made this, motherfucker. Like, seriously, dude, sorry. You don't get to fucking, you know, come in and go, oh, Marvel. Oh,
yeah, you don't get to pick and choose what popular,
like, sorry, mate.
Popular stories you get to,
exactly.
make.
You've made Bram Stoker's Dracula. Let's back up. Yeah. But like Gary Oldman, if anything, you watch this for Gary Oldman's performance.
He is out of control good.
My God, he's great, isn't he? Like,
he uses...
and in every element as well. Like, and especially, I love what they did with how Dracula has... It's almost like 5 different faces. Like, he has when he's Vlad the Impaler, like his original before he's a vampire.
Yeah.
The old decrepit Dracula that we know from the cover, and then you've got the man and the Simpsons, and then you've got the Dracula who has had a taste for blood. Has got kind of a bit of a mission happening. He's after Winona, and he's got those shades on with a top hat, and he's kind of cool and suave.
Yeah.
And
everybody's Halloween costume in 1994.
Exactly. Yeah, can turn into a mist, or still now if you're an old goth, still rocking it out.
I gave it a crack in like 97. I was still hanging on.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, 97 or 98. I tried to do the Gary Oldman at Halloween, and I can tell you, I was no Gary Oldman.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. But yeah, like I love the many faces, and the 2 that I didn't mention are probably my favourites. When he goes full vamp monster, when he's almost as tall as a room for some reason. I'm like, what the fuck?
That's my favourite scene for sure. Yeah, that scene is out of control good.
But the other one that I love is when he's I want to get her name right. When he's Sadie Frost.
Lucy.
When he's ravishing Lucy in the garden, that kind
wolf.
of monster wolf thing,
yeah.
I was like, Jesus, that is fucking scary as hell. Like, what is that face? Like, when he looks up and sees Mina, and he's like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Did you see the little flash of his natural face, though, when the lightning went in that shot?
So good, man.
Little things like that, man. I'm just like, and look, it might seem obvious and it might seem a little bit much, but I'm just all about it. Every time I see one of those practical effects, as obvious as it is, like he's got his shadow, and his shadow is kind of has its own personality to a degree. Like, watching it now, you can see that it's totally 2 different people because the shadow's not keeping up with Gary Oldman's like small movement and things like that. But I don't care. I'm just like, this is the best thing ever. There's the shot where Keanu's shaving, and it's just old school hole in the wall.
Oh yeah,
Keanu on one side shaving, body double on the other side, and the body double is not moving the same way Keanu's moving. But it doesn't matter. I'm just like, this is the best.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's like they made it. It looks like they made it in the 20s, but with all the money and public kind of acceptance of trash of the 90s. Yeah. So, which I'm like, yeah, great. Like make every movie like this and I'll be happy.
Yeah. It did. It kept me, like, with those moments, little moments like that, it really keeps you watching. Because it did go a little bit too long for me, especially with the fact that they didn't do anything with Renfield. I was like, do something with him, man.
Especially when you got Tom Waits.
I loved Renfield. Yeah, come on.
Yeah,
you've got Tom Waits in there.
He has some good scenes, but he never really kind of gets to explode and do anything.
There was no purpose to him in the end. I was like, what's going on?
No.
What's going on?
No.
But I did love the three amigos of Richard E. Grant, Carrie Ells, and Billy Campbell. And I was like, Billy Campbell? Who the fuck? Oh my God, it's the Rocketeer.
Man, the Rocketeer.
And I was like, oh man, this is intense.
Quincy.
So good.
He's my favourite of the three. I feel I get a bit sad when he dies because, spoilers for Dracula, he's my favourite of the three.
He's your fave?
Yeah, I really like him.
Not Richard E. Grant, the heroin addict?
I like Richard E. Grant a lot, but his character's a bit like there's a moment where he's like, oh damn it, man, I wish I was as smart as you, or basically something like that, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, whatever. He's probably my least favourite of the three, to be honest. Because he also seems like a little bit of an asshole. And so I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm on board for you.
No, he doesn't seem like an asshole. Carrie Ells is the asshole. He plays that too well sometimes.
But he's doing what Carrie always does, which is he's doing
that pompous fop.
Yeah,
pompous
seriously.
fop.
He's doing the guy. Yeah, what is it, for the Princess Bride when he's playing the other prince. It's that same thing for him. He just does that. It's so easy to him, that smug look on his face. But at least, you could tell he actually did love Lucy. And did you get that? I love Lucy.
Yeah, I love Lucy.
That's very funny. And he just had that foppish sensibility. Whereas Quincy was just straight up and down like Texas farm boy.
School.
He was
he was great.
He's just going to fuck shit up with his Bowie knife, and that's just how. Every time someone said anything about vampires, he was like, "What the fuck is this? What is vampire shit? I don't know what I got myself into.
Where the fuck am I?"
Yeah, exactly.
Someone get me some Kentucky bourbon.
And you got Anthony Hopkins running around the joint, jumping in people, jumping up on people, laughing and
humping them in the fucking while they get on a carriage, right. And then disappearing and then reappearing, and I'm like, oh, do you have powers too? Oh no, you don't have powers. You're just fucking weird.
He's just fucking with you. That's what he does. That's what he does. Seriously. Do you know the one bit I don't like is when, and I have to assume it's because Winona's starting to get vampire powers, but he just starts making out with her.
What the fuck was that about?
Hey man, come on. You know why you're here.
Yeah.
They didn't do enough to make us realize. I don't think they did enough to make us realize that she was controlling him mentally a little bit. Then
you kind of got it, but it was her kind of showing the audience that she had breasts. It was pulling her at her shirt to show her cleavage, and I was like, Winona, what are you doing? Winona, stop.
Yeah, this is not...
Winona, stop.
It's not her finest moments, unfortunately.
Winona, stop.
The bit where, when she's jumping around...
yeah, go on.
When she's jumping around like she's having the attacks of the vampire blood, and she's kind of screaming and contorting, and it was just like, oh, this is not good to watch.
This is bad.
This is bad. And then, she's just not... you're right. Sadie Frost as Lucy is just naturally has that quality.
She just nails it. Exactly. But she was, there was moments where Sadie, especially that type of character flirting with the men that she could because she can, she was great. She knew what she was doing. She knew what she wanted and kind of didn't. She was just having fun. And then when she got bitten, that kind of manifested into something else. So she kind of was all over the shop, which was great. But then you get the flip side of those scenes where it was just her talking to Winona, which, oh my God, it was just dry and boring and very much, if you were to tell me what sort of a pantomime period piece is, that's what it was. It was really over the top of the two girls talking to each other about love potions and love letters and things like that. And I'm like, oh, I'm done. I'm almost done here. But then you get the flip side when Winona's bitten. You're like, oh, Winona, are you giving it your all here? Come on.
No, I don't think it's not that she's not giving it her all. I don't think. I just think I think it's a bit of a stretch for her to have that kind of quality. It's it's just something that doesn't come as naturally, that kind of crazy. I'm being overtaken by this passionate evil. I don't think it comes as naturally to her. What she did really well was just the generic kind of crazy. When she tried to be like the powers of this creature were infecting my body. That's where she kind of fell down a little bit. But that's hard to do. Like, imagine being in that room and just being an actor and just being like, all right, now jump around weirdly. It's getting you. Like, it takes it takes a certain kind of of course you do, but it takes a certain kind of performance. And like, Winona Ryder is amazing at many things, and maybe this is just not one of them. Well, back to what you were saying about I actually don't mind those overly melodramatic scenes of them in the garden, because I think it's a really nice. I think it plays with it plays really nicely against the end of the movie. Like, he's really trying to emphasize just how completely foreign to these people the concept of death, destruction, hell, pain, suffering is. Like, the worst things that happen to them are like, oh, which man am I going to choose of these 3 bachelors? And that's like that's the worst thing to happen to them. So, I think he's just trying to really kind of really make that contrast as strong as possible. Yeah.
I did get a sense that the movie was sticking very close to the novel, and I read that he tried to do that as much as he could.
Yeah, to a degree.
Which is where you get like when the screen split and you get Keanu doing it and Winona, where they're writing in their journal and they're seeing like something happen in the background, which was good. Also the eyes in the sky, all of those moments, I was like, this is amazing.
They are. Yeah, they're the best moments for sure. Whenever I do still think that first half an hour is probably the strongest of like the old Gary Oldman as the weird bob-hair dude, red cloak kind of Dracula. I think that's
once he gets into the cool Dracula and the love story starts happening, because especially I didn't mind it that you got it from Winona's side as well. Yeah, that you're getting that she gets married. She's wanted Keanu for how long? Then when she is married, why can't she stop thinking of Dracula? I was like, I kind of like that. I like that.
I think their interactions with each other, Gary Oldman and Winona's, I think are really strong. They've got a really nice chemistry with each other. It's like I said, it's melodramatic to a T, but it works. The score kind of is really lush and wonderful behind it, and they're saying all these things that are just like so over the top that no human beings would ever say to each other. Like, I have conquered oceans of time to see you again, and it's just like, but it's dripping with sentimentality, but I kind of do love it. It feels like an opera. Like, it feels like they should be singing these lines, especially with the score behind it, the way it's it's very operatic, and I love it.
And if that's what you're coming in for, then you're going to get it in spades.
Oh yeah, you've got to expect that from this.
Exactly. I think that's why it kind of took me by surprise. I was like, I didn't realize it was going to be this grandiose.
Sure. What was I going to say? You were mentioning something a second ago. Oh, the book. There are. He's true to the book to a certain degree, but he's also kind of taken elements from the popular culture's interpretation of Dracula. And inserted them in. Like the love story isn't as prevalent in the book as it is in this. The Lucy character plays a bit of a bigger role. She kind of. The Lucy in the book is a bit closer to the Mina in the movie. All the Vlad the Impaler stuff isn't really in the book, like his history as a prince or any of that kind of stuff. But it is told. Yeah, it is told from the journal entries perspective. So yeah, I was watching a thing and he was just saying that if you read the book now and you're kind of like, well, it's not even Dracula anymore. Like, because of how many iterations of it there's been over the years, popular culture has assumed these things about Dracula now that aren't in the book. And so when you go and make a version that is 100% true to the book, people are going to be like, well, this isn't Dracula. Because of the things because of Todd Browning's movies and Christopher Lee and all the Hamer stuff, like over the years. Yeah. So, or the Universal stuff, I should say. So I've had, so there's elements to it. I have the book. I have read it before, but it was a very long time ago. I think it's in public domain though now, because I was looking on podcasts just to hear if any other movie sites had talked about Dracula to have a bit of a listen. But there's people that have done like readings of the whole book as a podcast. So I'm thinking about getting into one of those, I reckon, because if they've done it, if they've tried to do it with like voices and a bit of a little bit of set design, a little bit of colour, some production values.
Panache.
I'd be panache there. I'll be all about that. That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
I like that. Dracula. Man, Gary Oldman. He's the reason to watch that and the nudity. That was my last note. Man, Monica Bellucci. Bellucci.
I didn't realise it was Monica Bellucci until this time, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Those three brides terrified me as a kid.
I'd be happy to just stay there like that. That's fine. Drink my blood, make me weak. I'll just lay here nude with you nude, and that's fine. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, look, I can't say I would be comfortable with the way that they just appear out of nowhere. Like, it's so terrifying. What about the baby eating? Surely the baby eating, you're going to draw a line there.
Clearly the baby eating is a little off. Maybe, don't do that in front of me. And, let's get back to, how's your father? What's going on? What's going on over here?
How's Gary Oldman's, OU laugh where he kind of turns, he's like, ain't I a stinker? And he does his little and throws his hand at him. Ain't I a stinker? I love it.
Ain't I a stinker?
He's so good.
That was funny.
His delivery, his line delivery is always, in this movie, is always pretty impressive. When he's the big bat monster, it's so deep and rich, and he's just it rumbles your core. And when he's the old man, everything is just so, it's liquid coming out of his mouth. It's just, everything is just, and it just goes on forever, and you're mesmerized by it.
When he says the way that he pronounces the word blood in his accent, blood. He literally has it in his mouth.
I never drink wine.
Yes. Oh, well done. That was a good reading. That was good.
He's so funny, man. I love it. And that's the thing. You can still have a ton of fun watching this movie. You don't have to take it too seriously. You can actually just make it a good time watching this movie.
Yeah. And you just have to know what you're in for. That's all. Just know that you're getting the melodramatic to the night. The fact that he wipes away her catches the tear, opens his hand, and it's diamonds. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. Come on, man. What am I watching here?
It's pretty good.
I need to, yeah.
How's when he's the wolf, you know how he does that? So when he's attacking as the wolf, and you get those really weird kind of cut frames. So he climbs a couple of steps and the frames are missing, and then there's that bit where he attacks that guy and he's screaming, and then all of a sudden he's covered in blood the next frame later, and it just kind of weirdly throws the blood on him.
So good.
That, all of those, it's worth kind of I might try and find a behind the scenes video and post it, because if you watch this movie, you don't even realize what you're watching sometimes, how they did some of those things. Because we live in a world where it's so easy to just be they did it on a computer.
Just do it in post. Yeah.
Where anytime you see someone reading a book, a journal entry, and there's stuff happening around it, that's all happening in camera. There's a giant book and miniatures around it, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Anytime his hand reaches out long and touches somebody, or he changes his shape, or he appears, the bit where he's a thing and his eyes turn red and then there's a whole bunch of rats. That's all done in camera. That's fucking amazing.
Those were real rats. That wasn't, that was fake rats.
That's old-fashioned camera trickery where it's and we just put a frame over here, or we changed the lighting. They did, apparently a lot of the shots, they were matte paintings, but they did them on glass so they could have backgrounds incorporated, just basically in the set, because you could dress the set any way you like, and then just hold up a glass panel with his castle on it to get the right angle, so you could just hold it in front of the camera. It's ridiculous.
I wanted a better castle. I didn't buy the castle. I wanted a better one.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
I wanted the matte painting to really I'm talking back when, I know that they've redone them, Lord of the Rings, the original trilogy. You look at those matte paintings and those are badass. But I wanted old school 80s matte painting types.
Yeah, I get
the ones you know what I mean? Never ending story type deal. I really wanted it to get for the castle to fucking go, oh shit.
I get what you mean.
That is scary.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was still good, don't get me wrong.
I really like the interior design of the castle. But you're right, it probably could have, there's no reason why it couldn't have been a bit more grandiose on the outside.
Yep.
And we even get like a chase sequence, a beat the clock sequence at the end. I love how they chuck in we need to liven things up a little bit, so let's get to him before sunrise. Otherwise, shit's going to hit the fan.
Action. Exactly.
That's it.
But he could go, that's where, like, I got kind of confused in that part because he was like, vampires can go out in the daylight. And I was like, well, hang on a minute.
Yeah, but I think he was just super duper weak at that point because he...
because he was old and decrepit.
Yeah, and I think he'd used up all his energy being Batman.
Sailing. No, sailing.
Oh,
when
that's
he was sailing. Because there was no one to eat and he just had to stay under.
That's right. That's right. So did you notice that the costume design, it was actually done by a Japanese woman, or the costume design, and that's why a lot of
the red cloak?
Well, that's why a lot of it kind of looks like almost like kabuki stuff sometimes. Like that weird big gold thing that he's wearing at the end. Like like it's legitimately like a kabuki coat, and he's red one that he wears. It's like a kimono.
Armor thing.
His armor. The armor's fucking creepy. Looks like veins all over it. Yeah,
it looks like because I've studied myotherapy, it's muscles. It looked like a muscle armor.
Like
when you strip off skin and it just like raw muscles. It looked like that. I was like, this looks weird. This is scary.
Super weird. It's such a weird choice. I was reading that she was hired to do set decoration, I think, and he saw some of her designs for something completely different and was like, "Oh no, I want you to do the costumes for this."
Right.
Like I haven't seen a heap of Coppola movies. I've liked what I've seen of his, but I'm not I'm not crazy about him. Like I know some people are serious film fans kind of consider him, the be all end all. But he made some pretty great choices in this. The other one was that when he went in and said, I want to do all the special effects practically, the special effects unit that had been hired by the production company said, can't do it. You're going to have to use CGI for some of it. He fired him.
Right.
Straight up just fired him. Just went, no, don't worry about it then. See you later. Hired his son.
Yeah.
His son, who was obsessed with old movies and who had basically spent time in the bedroom just figuring out how it went, and he was like, "Yep, I reckon I can do it." And so his son worked with a team of special effects people to make it all happen. Like that's a ballsy move, and only somebody like Coppola could do something like that because it's Coppola. But it just like those two decisions are partly a really big reason why the movie succeeds so well, and they were both made on the fly by him. Because he just saw something in it and went, no, it needs to be like this.
Yeah. I haven't seen a lot of Coppola either. Have you? I know that. Is it? I don't know. Who did? No? Okay, take it easy.
Okay.
Here it is here. The Rainmaker. I know you watched
great.
This recently.
Yeah, Rainmaker was really good.
I love this movie. I own this movie. I don't know why I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't seen... Have you seen The Cotton Club? No.
No, I've heard that that's probably one of his big... And his recent stuff is like... Twixt? Is that him?
Twixt, yeah, that's him.
I heard that was a complete fucking disaster.
2011. Oh, wow. Val Kilmer.
Yeah. But I mean, it's understandable. Anybody would want to work with him. So when you find out, Coppola's making a new movie, anybody would jump on board. And then suddenly you read the script and you're like, well, what is this garbage?
Yeah, exactly.
Bet you're there now.
Come on. Like Robin Williams' Jack, it was a nice premise, but
is that Coppola?
No. Yeah, that was Coppola. Yeah,
well, I'll be damned.
The Conversation, The Outsiders, and of course,
Outsiders.
Godfather trilogy.
Yeah,
I haven't seen a lot. Apocalypse Now. Have you seen Apocalypse Now?
Oh, not in an eon. My brother used to watch it. He had a VHS of it, and I remember watching it back in the day with him, and I've not seen it since because I found it boring back then, and I know that that's sacrilege, and I will probably love this fucking shit out of it if I watched it now.
See, I've never seen it. I was going to watch that and Platoon at the same time because I haven't seen Platoon
yet. It might just be a bit much to watch them both together. Apocalypse Now is like it is a real slog, and you've got to be in the right frame of mind.
Really?
Because there's not a lot happens. It's really quiet. It's slow, really slow. And when it gets kicking, but I think I feel like you're not going to want to watch anything after watching Apocalypse Now. You're going to want a palate cleanser.
I'm going to want to just all right.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, nice.
Very good, Nick.
Tyson. Dracula.
The vampire. Well, I think then, Nick, what we should actually do is, seeing as we're heading into the last week of Halloween, I thought maybe it'd be a good opportunity for a segment that we only crack out every now and then, Nick.
Which is... Crossing the Streams! Oh...
It's been a while.
I haven't done that in a while.
Yeah.
I haven't done that in a long while.
Actually, almost matched you for pitch then. I usually don't get anywhere near yours. I was like, oh, look out. I'm getting close. Nick, I might go first.
No.
Actually, no, you go first.
Let me go first. Because yours is the mint. I'm going to ask people, because you want to go really scary on the last week of October. You want to go horror movie, and there is nothing more scary than 1973's The Exorcist.
Ooh,
this thing is scary as hell. So I just subscribed to Binge the other day. Having a look on the old Binge, and they've got a few good things on there. I'm not a huge fan of how Binge works, the actual app itself. I think it needs work, but yeah, they've got quite a good thing. So if you do have Binge, if you've jumped on that bandwagon, The Exorcist. There are stories of The Exorcist, which actually, I'm really interested. Shudder has a TV series that goes into the stories of what happened on certain horror sets, which is quite interesting. So, because there's a backstory of Linda Blair, the little girl in The Exorcist, that I really would like to know if it is true, what happened to her and what happened on set, which wasn't not really a very nice tale of something to happen to an actor, to get her to give the performance that she did. They weren't very nice to her. But yeah, The Exorcist in itself is a legendary horror movie. It is absolutely terrifying. And I watched it, I think I watched it 3 years ago, because I was like, this isn't scary anymore. There's no way that this still holds up. Let's give it a shot and let's go for it. And I was very, very surprised. And especially with that ending, I thought the ending was phenomenal. I really did. So yeah, Exorcist completely holds up. So yeah, and just a little sign off to my brother, because he does love the horror genre, and Exorcist is one of his favorite films. Do you remember when it got re-released at the cinema, Tyson, in like 90? Was it 99?
Yeah, it was an extended director's cut. 90, yeah, around that time.
So he saw it. I think I've told this story before. He saw it at the cinema with his 3 friends and his girlfriend at the time, and it was a lightly packed cinema, Tyson, and they went kind of later in the night, so it was kind of nice. And the gentleman behind him suffered from epilepsy, and he had an epileptic fit during The Exorcist, and my brother absolutely shat himself. He had nightmares for about a month.
Wow.
Because he thought the man behind him was possessed. And he's like, oh, I'm done. No, that's a pass. So, yeah.
Yeah, look, that's...
The Exorcist on Binge.
That'll do it.
Give it a watch. Give it a watch.
Definitely do it.
Yeah, if you're up for something... If you're not up for something really scary, then, watch Arachnophobia. Or Scream. Everyone loves Scream. But yeah, if you're up for something truly terrifying, Exorcist is your bag. Tyson? What have you got for us?
Well, Nick, I thought I would, for just a bit of a sizzle for next week, Nicholas.
Sizzle.
Because
Sizzle,
next week we're doing something really exciting, Nicholas. It's as per our tradition, final episode of Halloween season. We pick a horror franchise and we rank it from our least favourite to our most favourite instalment, and we have a lot of fun doing this.
We do.
And this
last episodes, which is Saw and The Final Destination.
Yeah. And this year we have decided to go with the granddaddy of them all, that is the Nightmare on Elm Street series. And so I thought in my Crossing the Streams, we would just make sure that you guys know exactly how to watch each of those movies, so that you can catch up for us for next week. In a very surprising turn, Tubi, the free app that you don't have to subscribe to Tubi, the service. You can just watch movies on it for free as long as you're happy to watch an ad every, half an hour, 20 minutes or so. Like you're watching it on television, except instead of, 4 minutes of ads, it's usually 1 15-second ad, which passes by before you even notice. But Tubi has a lot of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. It's missing four for some reason. Yeah, it just seems to be missing 4 for some reason. So that's probably a rights issue. But they do have 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and New Nightmare, which is pretty impressive. So you can watch them for free on Tubi at the moment. If you do want to watch 4, you can rent that from iTunes. Not iTunes, sorry. YouTube. YouTube is the only way you can rent that at the moment. So if you want to watch part 4, you're gonna have to do some dodgies there.
Wow.
Or
you could. Or, to be honest, you could just go to JB Hi-Fi and get the box set for $20.
The box set for $20, which is a complete bargain. Freddy vs. Jason is on Netflix. And the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. Is available. Where? That is available to rent for the very reasonable price of $2.99, which is the way I'm probably going to have to do it, Nick, because my box set doesn't have... any of the remake?
The remake. Look, Tyson, yeah. We'll get to that next week, ladies and gentlemen.
We will.
But yes, even if you do have to watch one, make sure you watch the first one, ladies and gentlemen. It is the best, and it is one of my favourite movies of all time.
That's it.
Top 5 movies of all time.
And look, that's it. You may not end up getting through all of them, but there's not really many better ways to spend the last week of Halloween than cracking out Freddy Krueger and just letting him do his thing all over your TV screen because he's a lot of fun. And we're going to have a really good time talking about that next week, Nick. Before we go, why don't you just remind the people at home where they can find our show?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on this Halloween Eve. Not Halloween Eve. It's not Halloween Eve yet. It's almost
the penultimate Halloween episode, you could say. Maybe.
Yes. But yes, if you have liked what you've heard, you can subscribe to our lovely little podcast wherever you're listening to us. Other than that, where you could like, subscribe, rate, or review. You can give us a review if you like. You can say, Tyson is really good with his knowledge and Nick sounds like an idiot. And that's fine if that's your review. At least you reviewed it.
Or you can say that Tyson is a pretentious dick and Nick is a down-to-earth cool dude. And
who's way too fucking loud and wakes his son up. No, I'm kidding. My son sleeps like they're dead. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
Yes, other than that, we are on all the socials, which is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We do have a YouTube account. If you're a YouTube listener of podcasts, that's fine. If you want to do that there, by all means. And Tyson and myself are big fans of the Letterboxd app. So if you don't know what that is and you watch movies... because obviously you do because you're listening to this podcast, download the app, look us up. You can look up Tys, TYS_videotape, and I am NIC_videotape. And you can follow us, and you can find out what we've rated the Nightmare on Elm Street films, what we've rated Event Horizon, what was the rating that me and Tys came to at an even plane that we, Tys thought it was okay, and I thought it was okay, but, maybe we missed out on something there.
Yeah.
Same rating. That's fine. What did Tys rate Bram Stoker's Dracula? His one love of movie. He loves this movie. So what is he going to rate it? Is he going to rate it a 4 out of 5? 5.5? 10? Get stuffed. It's not that good. It's not Troy. So yeah. If you want to follow us, that'd be great. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, yeah. We'll see you next week.
That's it. We will. So next week's episode will be... You might get kind of 2 episodes in pretty quick succession because this one will probably come out either Saturday or Sunday, and then you're going to have a new episode, brand spankers, in your feed, ready to go when you wake up on Halloween morning. So you're going to get, plenty of Nick and Tys to get you through the last week. Nice. We are very excited to be able to chat you through these Nightmare films next week. Nick, we'll see you then.
Yes, we are. See you then, Tys.
Okay, bye.
Bye, buddy.
See you, bye.